everybody! Welcome
Hi,
to
guys.
another week of Babe Talk. Today we're talking all things nipples.
Woohoo!
We even got 2 coffees and a breast, if you can see that. Anyway, so thanks so much for showing up today and being with us. So we're talking about all things nipples because Heather and I feel like there is an epidemic of nipple judgment out in the world. Once a mom has a baby, it feels like they have their first experience in the hospital is some kind of nipple judgment. Like your nipples are too short, too flat, too long, too big, too small, inverted, or all these different issues that can really set a mom's confidence back, I feel like.
We've got these moms who are sleep deprived and hormones rushing through their bodies, and they've just delivered this baby and now they're being told they're inadequate for their baby.
Yes, and the truth is, and what Heather and I have found is rarely do the actual shape and size of the nipple make as big a difference as it seems. Now, there are definitely situations where nipples are an issue, but most of them we can overcome. Maybe not instantly, but with time we can overcome many nipple issues. So we're going to talk about some of those nipple issues today and maybe some ways to overcome it. But I want to give hope to all the moms out there, like resist taking in the nipple judgment. Know that with just some awareness of your nipples and what they're like and how you could best help your baby latch with whatever nipple you have, you'll probably be just fine. So some of the nipple terms that you might hear, and we'll just explain like what does each one mean. So an inverted nipple is a nipple that like literally curls in. So when you see the front of the breast, you see just kind of a line, and the nipple's tucked completely in.
And you can feel this nipple inside the breast tissue if you press into the breast tissue behind.
And a lot of moms might have inverted nipples prior to delivery, but once we pull them out, they stay out and they get brand new nipples in life. They never knew they had them and they were tucked in. And I've had a couple moms where we started pumping or something, or got the baby latched on, and then they never went back in, which is really exciting because they feel like this is going to be a huge issue, and then it ends up like, oh, it's not an issue at all. We just needed to get those little ones out.
And some moms have inverted nipples that invert at rest, but when they're stimulated, they'll evert and they'll stick out nice and prominent.
The other term you might hear is like flat nipples. And flat nipples are kind of hard because sometimes just the breast tissue itself will make the nipple seem more flat, but really if the breast has some pliability to it, it might, or like you said, if they're stimulated, they might just totally come out on their own, no problem at all. And so I rarely see flat nipples be as big of an issue. I feel like, would you?
Unless a mom has really dense breast tissue
and a flat nipple.
That can be sometimes challenging. Is it something that we can't overcome?
Rarely.
Rarely
Is there like not a solution for like really any nipple. And then I guess the other one might be like a nipple that's too long. So you might have more protruding nipple, and this might be harder for the baby to get as deep onto the breast tissue because it goes too far in their mouth. But again, oftentimes we can overcome that, or we might have a little bit of time and the baby's mouth grows, and then it's like a perfect nipple. So sometimes it's just a little bit of a waiting game to have that baby's mouth grow a little bit, I would say.
Yeah. And always remember that the nipple does go very far back in the mouth. A lot of times people in general, parents, kind of picture the nipple just being right here in the front portion of the mouth, and thinking that, oh, my nipple's too long or too large, and it's going to choke the baby. And though sometimes that can happen, the truth is that the nipple, regardless of anatomy, is going to be drawn back to that area regardless. So
yeah. We talked a little bit last week about some latching, was it last week or the week before? I don't know. We talked about some latching tips and tricks a couple weeks ago. And one of them that can be really helpful for inverted or flat nipples is just the breast shaping, because really the nipple, I kind of think of it as a target. you know, it kind of gives us like, we want to go that way, but it also is going to be stimulating the suck reflex.
Right.
So we can get that nipple further back, whatever size and shape it is, if we just shape the tissue around it. Remember we talked about, you could flip back to this live video that we talked about, but shaping around the nipple and areola so the baby's mouth could come deeper onto the breast can make a huge difference and like make flat nipples or inverted nipples like not even an issue at all.
Right.
I would think.
Right.
And the other thing to consider, and we were talking about this just recently, is if you do know, okay, ahead of time, I have flat nipples or I have inverted nipples, I think the biggest thing is to just be careful with what you're putting in the baby's mouth. So you had a great term for that. What did you call it?
Artificial nipples tend to cause what we refer to as a super stimulus. So it's the stimulation that babies feel where their suck reflex is located that is extraordinary, and they feel this sensation and they're like, whoa, man, that was cool. Hey, make that happen here too. And then mom may have a shorter nipple or maybe a flatter nipple, and they don't have that super stimulus again, and that can become frustrating.
Yeah.
So avoiding artificial nipples in that situation can be really helpful.
Yeah, I definitely, if I know ahead of time that the baby has, the mom has a flat or inverted nipple, or we're right off the bat talking about latching, then we want to try to avoid all artificial nipples until that latch is really well established. So we don't have, this might be a time where you get like true nipple confusion is when the baby's having a hard time going back and forth because it's so different. You know, it's just such a big change from the flatter nipple to the longer or artificial that gives you that super stimulus.
And every baby is so different, truly. You know, we've got some babies who will have an artificial nipple and then they go back to mom's breast and they're like, hey, what else?
They don't even care. Yeah.
And then we have other babies who are like, oh my God, that was really cool.
One time getting an artificial nipple
and
they're
we
like,
don't
no.
know what baby that is.
I know.
And that's the challenge. It's a risk. And it's truly a risk of whether or not a mom or family chooses to take it.
Yeah.
You know, if they choose to take that risk with a pacifier. But education is key here, guys. So if you know that, you can start with a good step forward and go along that path.
Right.
Now, when we're talking about artificial nipples, that includes nipple shields, pacifiers, bottle nipples, anything that truly provides that super stimulus to the baby's palate.
Yeah, so that would be something to definitely consider if you know ahead of time, like you may have flat or short nipples. But again, there's so much nipple judgment, and I feel like I'll have a mom, I'll see, and they'll be like, yeah, they told me that my nipples are flat or invert or whatever, and then I'm like, really? Because I feel like you're totally normal here. Like, to me, they just seem normal, but this judgment came, and now this mom has this loss of confidence. Now, there are some times where we do have to use some extra tools with latching with a nipple that's just more challenging, but there are tools for that, which is great. So a couple of those would be there's some nipple everters. So if you have like a truly inverted, there's literally a mosquito in this room with us. So if we start like splashing our hands around,
I'm about to kill it.
I know. We're not crazy, we promise. We keep looking at it. I'm like, don't bite me. Okay, back to nipples. If you, now I'm so distracted. So there's some nipple everters. So one is called the Latch Assist, and I've had some really good success with that. It's like a little suction cup, and you can put it over the nipple, and it averts the nipple, and then you just pop it off and put the baby right on, and that can be really great for latching. And then you want to talk about nipple shields a little bit?
Yeah, nipple shields, though they can be something that can cause some challenges if they're not used when needed, they can be a really helpful tool in some certain situations. The key here is that we prefer to use those as a last resort after really working with mom and baby in other areas to achieve a good latch, milk transfer, whatever the situation may be. However, they are wonderful tools to use if needed. Now, this is, again, last resort after we've really worked on some other areas first. And that's really, I think, the main point I'd like to get across. Because oftentimes we do hear that either in the hospital situation or maybe at home, or shoot, even baby showers I've heard. Like, I bought you some baby shields for breastfeeding. Yes, and these parents come to the hospital with their bags packed and they've got nipple shields, and I'm like, oh, did somebody assess your breast and tell you that you had something that maybe
so not everybody needs.
And they're like, no, I was gonna breastfeed and I got into my baby shower. I was like, okay, let's not use that right now. So put it aside and just hold off, and let's try to focus on some other areas first.
And sometimes a nipple shield can just be used as a transition tool too.
Yeah,
so I feel like that is another thing. Like, it's not once you use a nipple shield, then forever and ever you will have to use a nipple shield. It can be a transition tool that we use for a short time, and we work on getting the baby to the breast, and oftentimes they will wean off
that
of it.
Right there, I want to just kind of call to everybody's attention the short time. It's a temporary tool, temporary aid. It's not meant to be permanent, though it can be in very rare situations. It's meant to be a very, very temporary aid to help a transition.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we hope All Things Nipples have helped you guys learn a little bit more about how nipples might impact your breastfeeding relationship, and that there doesn't have to be so much nipple judgment out there, okay? There's a call for less nipple judgment, more information and awareness and confidence building, that just because your nipple looks one certain way does not necessarily mean that you are going to have automatic issues with breastfeeding. And we hope this gives you guys some hope, because I feel like this is a topic that we encounter all the time. All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us for Babe Talk today, and we'll be back next week with more info. And we would love to hear some topics that you guys are interested in hearing about, and some things that you might find helpful to learn more about. So you can comment here and let us know. And then if you need help, if you're having some of those nipple issues, then definitely give us a call. We'd love to help you guys out. You can schedule an appointment online on our appointment scheduler. Just go to the Schedule Now button or give us a call. Ambrosia would be happy to help you guys set up an appointment with us.
And prenatal assessments are also something that we offer, and this is a really great time if you do have any concerns while you're pregnant, and you may have been told something or have thought something throughout your childhood, early adulthood, whatever, for us to chat with you and
kind of
assess
get you
your
set
breast
up.
and kind of get you on a good start.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me, Heather. All right.
You too, Leah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank y'all too.